Now, I'm a huge fan of frost seeding switchgrass. Switchgrass is an incredible grass variety that you can use for screening food plots. We have a food plot edge here. It's only about 5-6 feet wide along this entire food plot. We do that with all our food plots out here. Not only screens hunter access, but that keeps deer from seeing each other. And then it also separates deer herds, separates does from other does where there might be some territory and fighting between does and a lot of competition. It also breaks down the sound. So if we're accessing around these valleys, around these hills, and that sound is transferring over and it hits a big wall of switchgrass during the fall, that sound is just not going to penetrate through. It also disperses scent, so really good for if you have some stray scent on your access blowing into the switchgrass. You can break down your scent particles, and there's a lot of reason to plant switchgrass. And I've talked about before, a quarter mile of switchgrass, you can actually 20 feet wide. If you do the math, it'll cost you about $35, $40. It'll take you about 10-15 minutes of time with a few sprayings and just a handheld broadcaster. And so really you can get a great wall. Most areas, we're in southwest Wisconsin, but most areas from central Michigan, central Wisconsin, and south down to southern Illinois, Indiana, you'll get anywhere in that first year from 40 inches to 5 feet of growth would be an average. And at the end of the second year, you're looking at 6 to 8 feet of growth. So really good, solid, dense grass. We've had a lot of snow, a lot of wet snow, and a lot of ice, and that switchgrass is still standing in that line behind me pretty good. And as soon as the snow's gone, it's going to spring right back up. So there's enough cover here for pheasants and rabbits behind me in that line. A lot of people ask, I love planting, I love frost seeding switchgrass. So a lot of people ask, what is the best time to frost seed switchgrass? And to me, the answer is anytime the soil is not in that 56 to 58 degree soil temperature where switchgrass needs to germinate. Same with corn. And so once you get into October 1st, September 15th, in most areas, you can put switchgrass right on the ground. I have quite a few of my Michigan clients, Wisconsin clients, Minnesota clients, New York, Pennsylvania, they're frost seeding Labor Day and past Labor Day. The whole idea for frost seeding is switchgrass has to go through a process of stratification. So you can buy pre-stratified seed, but it's usually 3 times as much. And so I don't recommend that. What I recommend you do is you put it on the ground during that time from October 1st to at least 2 to 4 weeks before spring green up around here. That would be March 1st. I want to get this on the ground. The seed goes through the process of stratification with lots of moisture, lots of frost, lots of freeze, warm up, cool down. That'll open up that seed and make it viable for germination at a very, very high rate. And that's why frost seeding switchgrass is a huge advantage towards trying to plant it in June or July. For one, you're killing weeds after they grow. You're typically someone that's going to come out and plant switchgrass will drill it in the ground end of May, June, somewhere around there. They're taking one spraying and drilling. So you're not getting a lot of those lower weeds when you spray. You're also, because it's at a time where excessive moisture, frost, and freeze is already passed, then you're not getting great germination rates. You're not getting that seed stratified like you need it to be. So that's a bad thing. And what happens is if you don't have that dense bank of switchgrass coming in, you don't have that smother crop available to take and outcompete weeds that are growing within that switchgrass. So you have light germination rates. It allows weeds to come in between that switchgrass. It limits the amount of growth for the switchgrass. And what I see a lot of times, you end up having to mow down to the top of the switchgrass in August. You have to mow 3 times the second year and mow down to the top of the switchgrass so you can expose it to the sun. Eventually, switchgrass wins and outcompetes just about everything that it's there. But if you put it in thick, you put it on with frost seeding, then that seed is viable, stratified, and ready to germinate as soon as the soil temperatures hit. That also allows you, and you can look up frost seeding for switchgrass on YouTube, Google. You can look up switchgrass for wildlife. All my content comes up to the top. Frost seeding switchgrass, it comes up to the top. So I have all these steps in there and the chemicals that you use. But the bottom line is you're getting that seed on the soil. If it's going to snow, great time to plant it right before the snow. Let that snow cover the seed. Again, you want to soak into the soil and be available and experience very high germination rates so that you can actually outcompete the weeds. I like putting simazine on a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before spring green up. That's something you can purchase locally. You put that on the ground and you're actually limiting the weeds that will pop up. Simazine is a pre-emergent. Normally recommend around 3 quarts per acre on that. And then the simazine limits the weeds. You can also get a great spraying of 2,4-D and Roundup approximately 2 to 4 weeks after spring green up. When the weeds are growing aggressively, you'll get another great kill then, and then you just let it go. And you'll have a great field as long as you're not getting seed washed away because you put it on too late, or you put it on too late and you're not getting the full moisture, frost, and freeze it needs to go through to be stratified. But if you follow those steps, you're going to have a great switchgrass crop. And the only other time I'm adding any chemical to that is the following year. I'm adding that simazine again a couple weeks before spring green up and limiting the weeds. We have some switchgrass over to the right of me that I planted last year. We're going to add some simazine over that, thicken it up, and another line up this hill over here. And but boy, it's going to really take off that second year. When it comes in clean around here, we're getting right up to about 4 feet of growth in southwest Wisconsin. The most common variety of switchgrass is Cave-in Rock. I love frost eating Cave-in Rock. I love using a single variety of switchgrass because I want it to be even aged, even height. I don't want the tall switchgrass to compete with and outshade the smaller varieties. A lot of people make a mix of switchgrass just so they can sell it and say it's the latest, greatest bedding in the bag or screening in a bag or whatever it might be, when really if you just use a single variety of switchgrass that fits your area the best, then you're going to have a single stand of similar height that's not out competing with each other, makes a very thick stand. I get all my Cave-in Rock switchgrass through John Comp at Northwoods Whitetails. He specializes in screening blends too. He's got a heavy duty plot screen that's available right now early in 2020, and something that they've tested and sold for the last few years. Great plot screen. A lot of areas, I recommend that if you have open ground, you can establish switchgrass pockets. Not a bad idea today, 6 to 8 foot wide. Put that plot screen right around the switchgrass so you can frost seed it in open ag land, get it established, put that plot screen around it that might grow 8 to 12 feet, and then you have those pockets. I do not recommend that you mix switchgrass with within your plot screen. I've tested that, and although the sun-facing side for about a foot or two in will produce switchgrass, once it's shaded out, it dies, and it doesn't matter if it's switchgrass shading it out, you know, tall varieties competing with small. But again, going back, frost seeding, the best time to frost seed, anytime from October 1st until about a month before spring green up. Get it on the ground. You could have a light snow and put it on, but my favorite is to get it on that soil so that has a chance to get sucked into the soil. And as soon as the sun hits it, and as soon as the soils warm up to that 56, 58 degree soil temperature, which in southwest Wisconsin is the end of May, early June. In northern settings, that could be well into June. When you get down to southern Ohio, southern Illinois, central Indiana, those areas over into Iowa, it could be that that's germinating by mid-May, end of May. You can move that up about 2 weeks. But try it. Try frost seeding this year. It's an excellent way to get switchgrass in the ground. Make sure you use those chemicals, because if you don't, it's going to get outcompeted. That's the death of all switchgrass plantings, is typically weed competition and shade competition. It'll kill it every time and wipe it out. It doesn't just shrink a little bit or not grow as fast. It actually will not become a viable plant. So try it this year. I think you'll enjoy it. And the best time, again, to frost seed switchgrass is anytime, typically after September 15th, October 1st, all the way up until a month before spring green up. It can provide some excellent cover this year. And right now, we're right towards the end of January. Not a bad time to do it right now if we get some of this snow off. And I can't wait for that snow to disappear so we can start getting out in the woods and completing some of our habitat projects that require the removal of this snow. We'll look forward to that time, and I look forward to hearing about your switchgrass this summer.